In his book Intervention, Jan Holmevik reintroduces us to electricity through play and his own explorations of his past in the electratic society. He does this by building upon the foundations of Gregory Ulmer without Ulmer's difficult language and invention of new language to meet his needs, allowing us to have a more user-friendly interface with the material involved. Those foundations start with a discussion of orality, which was based in religion and faith. The oratic traditions were the first modes of human communication and moved at the times of Plato and Aristotle into what we would call literary or literacy, based on science and reason, based upon the method. In literacy, unlike orality, the basis is on right and wrong, yes and no. Yet today we are moving into a new mode of communication, a new mode of thought known as electracy. It is entertainment and is based upon sensation. It works with the pleasure and pain principle. True and false, right and wrong, pleasure, pain. All of these form into a three-dimensional reality of expression, of experience, of understanding. Neither one exists completely without the other, and all of them make up the human Western mind. The greatest advantage of Holmevik's intervention is its accessibility. It allows us to grab with the concepts much easier than some of the deeper and more convoluted messages of Ulmer. He starts with the hacker noir, which is in fact not simply a, oh my God, it's a cyber terrorist, but discusses hacker into the mindset of breaking into code, adding into the different ways of interfacing with our reality. Code itself is part of Cora, or Ulmer's idea of Cora, in that we explore our virtual reality through how we design it, the code we work with. That is the language of electracy. However, Ulmer does not approach it as fun, whereas Holmevik does. Holmevik looks at play as a way of exploring code, working with Cora, breaking out of the bounds that literacy has placed upon our methodologies and thought. He's used this in his own life as a pedagogy, play in the school. He used electracy or electratic principles to help inspire his students to learn by coding in game and play for their learning process. Today, many companies are beginning to think that play is a way of breaking through the pedantic boundaries they've placed upon their employees, allowing them to explore ideas. Play is beginning to become part of the workplace and part of everyday life. This whole book, however, for me, was about walking down memory lane. I grew up during the time that Holmevik discusses. I was one of those people who played with his computers and pushed the boundaries of what could be done with the technology that was emerging at the time. My first computer was a Timex Sinclair. This computer plugged into a audio cassette tape player to store its programs and came with no games or very few games and very few functions pre-built in. I had to code everything into it. I wrote my own games. From there, as I made it into high school, I started working with mainframes and advanced summer programs and found that one could interact with other people on the mainframes in game space while you waited for your turn to have your programs ripped into something more usable. From there, in the 90s, I moved into working for America Online as a remote host. This was my second exploration into internet social media, and it is where I met my wife. From AOL, we moved into a wide range of chats, from AIM to Yahoo Messenger to Microsoft Messenger and ICQ. We were able to talk real time in groups across the internet. Place was no longer a limitation. In the late 90s, the mass multiplayer online role-playing games became a new mode of play. It became a way for people to both socialize and escape their realities, to get through the humdrum part of their lives. From there evolved the social sites, social media, such as Facebook and Twitter, where we both interact on a professional level, on a personal level, and we play. Facebook games are a huge area of interest. I created none of the imagery of this presentation. I have followed all of the rules by Clemson University's fair use and plagiarism policies.